Rita Thelemann, and then we also have her daughter Rachel Thelemann, and they are here today with us to talk about ancestry. And I have known these two for 26 years.
Oh my gosh.
I know, a long time.
That's a long time.
I met them at a workshop that I was giving, and they were super interested in understanding and finding tools to help with the ancestry. And so they've been working away since, and they are just veterans of this. So I thought it would be good to have them here. And Rachel is also a therapist, so she helps other people with this as well. So I thought we'd start out with just asking you two to tell us what this all means for you. So I don't know who wants to start.
Yeah, I can start. So as Maureen said, yes, I am a therapist, and it's fun because a lot of people are coming more into sessions wanting to learn about it. And so having done some of this work myself, it's like a way to guide people, which I really, it feels like I'm giving back, right? And that feels good. But for me, what I've learned about this journey with my mom and you, Maureen, is that ancestry, there's so many levels to this healing, right? Like, and when we're ready, a level appears, right? And so working with you, I've seen that those levels have really gotten me closer to who I am and more my authentic self and the truth about who I am. And some of that ancestry, which I didn't realize until we were in sessions, like, oh, that's for my grandma, that's for my uncles, you know. So you kind of, it gets revealed. And I felt like every time after a session with you, it's like, oh, a new layer, I can let that go, and I can be closer to really who I am. And I really have felt lighter as we've done this work.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah, that's for sure, isn't it? That's the whole point.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that explanation. How about you, Rita?
Well, you know, for me, it was, again, like Rachel is saying, of seeing how certain things would appear, and you think, oh, I remember that happening with, you know, a grandparent or something. And so I just got curious of it, but I also started realizing, oh, you know, that's those first years that you live, you're just absorbing, and you're taking in, how do I live here? Where am I even? You know, which I remember asking that question, how did I get here? And so what I started discovering is you're kind of living the lives that they were living. And I think in working with you, started to realize, wow, we can change some of those patterns. We don't have to keep looking to the outside, which was a big part of when I grew up. Hey, you didn't look inside, you only looked outside. And so I think it was through that awareness and working with the ancestry and seeing the things that were coming up in me. You were saying, oh, that goes back maybe 6 generations, and we were able to start healing it. And at first I didn't quite understand it in the way that I now feel that I do, but it's, I can create a new story, and it's like letting go of the old story is what it feels like.
That's beautiful.
Well, it's funny, Maureen, because I feel like with our last session, because I feel like because we've been doing this for so long, we worked on so many things that made us stuck, right? Like things that were blocks, things that were like more trauma, more heavy. And I feel like after we work through that, it's like, wow, like there's some great things that our ancestors had too, and kind of more stepping into that and stepping more into our power and getting more empowered as we continue this work.
And I think that is, thanks for mentioning that, because that is such a wonderful part, because they didn't just do things that we wanted to bring that more into our lives, of what they were able to, the good, I don't know that I want to use the word good, but the parts in them that is still maybe dormant in me because of the way that I was living my life.
That's a good way to put it.
I have a question. I'm gonna back up a little bit here. It's my first time meeting Rachel and Rita. I want to know, how did you get into the workshop? How did you meet Maureen, or what made you do the workshop?
Well, I think I had seen a flyer somewhere. I don't even remember where I saw the flyer, but I thought, oh, this sounds kind of interesting. And we went to the workshop, and well, I think it was first you were just talking about what you were
we were
going to
talking
do.
about it.
And it was like, I want to work with this woman.
Oh,
I just really felt that. And then I think we just started, I mean, because I have 2 other daughters, and so the 4 of us would go and we would meet with Maureen.
I think too, we wanted to also incorporate tools to also heal and clear ourselves when we weren't working with Maureen. So Maureen, you were so great at like giving us tools. I feel like we had a nice collection of like, we had our own tools, we knew how to work with the energy. And then also I feel like we got an opportunity when we did work with Maureen, it would go deeper, right? Like places that we couldn't really necessarily take it.
That's true.
So,
That's a good way of saying it.
Yeah.
Because we were into energy at that time, and that's what you were talking about. But you know, we were kind of newbies.
Yeah.
You know, and just wanted to learn more about it.
everybody was newbies
I was
back
just-
then. I know. That was 1998.
Who wasn't the newbie? Yeah, no heard of the club. Yeah.
I mean, it was something we were just very fascinated with, and Maureen was just the vehicle that helped us.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm just thinking like 26 years ago. I think I was 11 years old.
You know, I was in my 20s, so yeah.
I mean, wow.
I know.
I'm just fascinated.
Yeah. Well, we kind of grew up that way. I mean, I feel like my mom, I feel blessed because she always had this environment, I guess, or the way she raised us with, we tried different things. Like we've tried a lot of different things. And
That's
I
so
feel like that is what you need, is just to be open and being receptive and being curious. And I feel like we did do that. You raised us that way. So I'm not surprised we take you out, Maureen.
That's so great though, Rita, that you did that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I don't, I mean, it's just kind of was in me, and I just kind of followed it. And so, yeah, I'm pretty grateful. Yeah, really grateful.
So would you all go in for sessions together, like as a family then?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because like my mom said, there's 2 more of us, and so we'd
Yeah.
all go in and we'd all work together. And another thing I learned too, Maureen, working with like more of us, is it's like it like ramps up the level of
Oh,
power
for sure.
and what you can clear and what you call in and all that. I mean, I just felt like it was so powerful.
It was like intuitively we knew things to
Yeah.
do that we didn't really understand.
Yeah.
But now looking back,
Right.
we really can see how powerful that was and what a good idea it was.
Wow, that's beautiful. So you came in with your 3 daughters, and then Maureen would just look at everything and
Yeah.
So what have you noticed in terms of the ancestry from going to these sessions for 26 years and all the things that you've been working on?
I think one thing that I noticed there's patterns,
Yeah.
right? And there's like the people pleaser pattern, there's the not using our voice, and you know, as women too, right? There's this cultural, what do I want to call it? It's like the cultural conditioning, right? And so there's that layer, right? And then there's the layer of the ancestry, and just even just being a female, right? And so I feel like we really worked on all of those levels. And ironically, like just even seeing like from my perspective, like my children or my nieces and nephews, and you see like, oh, I can kind of see that pattern. I see where that comes from, but it doesn't seem as intense as it was for me. And I think my mom would say, oh, she had a deeper level of it, of that like ingrained, like females follow a certain way, or it was harder for her to use my voice. And I feel like as I use my voice, I notice even with my daughter, like, wow, she doesn't have the same struggles I do with using my voice, but I really do believe it's because of the work that we're doing.
I do too, and just that whole feeling of we don't have to, we can change those patterns, but that's kind of inner work you have to do. And you have to take that pause and say, I'm going to be with this part that what I was looking for from the outside, I could never get, you know? And I think that was a big part of what I noticed, kind of the expectations we had on other people, that they could take care of all our needs. And through this work, I've really discovered, no, that's kind of my job.
You follow that,
It's a really big job to, how am I going to care for that parts of me that are still hurt? And really kind of because I kept feeding the habit, you know, I just kept having certain thoughts, and it's like, maybe it's time I can stop that and move through that and love that part of me and not judge that part of me. I think judging was such a big thing when I was growing up. And, you know, realizing I can be a lot gentler and more caring and have compassion for myself and others, and that we're all trying to do the best we can, and we all need to listen to what we're feeling inside of us, because it's different. It's different, and I like that.
I think the other thing too that I would just like to add to what you said is what I realized too is like the ancestors that have passed, some of them maybe didn't pass, and they needed to pass to actually really help the whole lineage. And that when we heal ourselves, we're healing them too. And just to get their assistance and to get the help. Because my dad passed, and he comes into the sessions, and he's just so helpful, and I can still just feel his energy. I mean, I feel it right now, like he's just around us, and he really wants to help.
So when he passed, did you have to cross him over, or did he cross?
He crossed.
He
went
right
away.
over.
Okay.
He crossed. He went right over.
That was my feeling. I was like, I think he just went.
He did.
Yeah, because he had went to some sessions with Maureen too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So you knew him.
Yes, he's
Yeah,
a
she
wonderful
did know
person,
him.
yes.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so what's that experience been like for you with him coming into the sessions, and were you able to feel him right away when he crossed, or what was that like for you?
I mean, for me,
For each
I
of you.
did because I think again we're just so in touch with like energy and like like I'm aware that exists, right? And so I do think like I see my dad, like for example, like when I'm out and I can just feel him, or I'll see an eagle, or I'll see a dragonfly, and those are just things he loved and things that he represented. A good example is I hadn't been downhill skiing in, I don't know, since I was like in high school. And I went with my kids, and I just could feel my dad. But my dad also really liked to downhill ski. And then seriously, we were on the chairlift, and there was an eagle. I'm like, it's just the chills, right?
I just knew.
It's like a beautiful image.
There
Oh my gosh.
there he is. It's so things like that where I pay attention, because if you pay attention, it's all around you.
For sure. That's a good way to put it.
And for me, I remember when he died, the day he died, and before they took his body, I think I just felt him going into my heart. And I thought, oh, that's gotta be my imagination. And then of course, when we work with Maureen, we are able to talk with him, and I asked that question, is that what happened? And he said, yes, I'll always be with you.
Oh my God.
He is around you all the time.
All the time. You feel his presence.
Yeah.
Especially when you told the downhill skiing story.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been really, I mean, of course, we miss him, but he's with us, and you just have to get used to what you miss is the physical body.
No, for sure.
And stuff, but I definitely know he's here with us.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Remind me, how long were you two married?
57 years.
That's a long
Wow.
time.
So we affected one another, and
Yeah.
I am who I am because of him,
For sure,
and
for sure.
and he was who he was because of me, and so you can't live together that long and not
Yeah.
have an effect on each other. So yeah,
For sure.
hmm yeah, yeah, I'm pretty touched by all that really is occurring, you know, and this work that we're doing, it's exciting because we can create our lives in a different way than what our ancestors lived. But as Rachel said, we are helping free them too from those patterns, and we're helping free the future generations.
For sure, that collective energy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
adding to that where
Yeah.
we're creating a
And-
better world.
Yeah, and what a good service that is to offer that, that we can really make a difference.
Well, you are.
Yeah, you are. Huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've met anybody where pretty much like the entire family is doing the work. Like you and all of your daughters. Like that's just wow.
Yeah.
I'm just so fascinated.
I know, isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I have to say, I have two sons, and I think they are also working on themselves.
Yeah, they just do it differently.
Yeah.
Than how we
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
agree with
it's
that.
just, I don't know, I don't really understand. It's not like I can pick that this is what made that happen, but it showed up.
Yeah.
Yes, that's part of it. It's what shows up, not,
When you listen to it, right? And
yeah, and you
follow
listen
that
to it.
as you become
Yeah.
more and more in touch with your truth, your authentic self. I think it is easier. Well, I shouldn't say easier, but you know why you're doing the work, and so it has meaning, right? So.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to meet your sons too. They're
Yeah.
wonderful as well.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
they really, yeah, I just have been very blessed to have the children that I have, and my grandchildren are equally as I'm fascinated by how they're living their lives and the things that they're, you know, you can see the goodness.
Yeah.
And we're all wired to be good. I really believe that. And we're all, I think we're all equal. And that's something that I feel that is starting to be on the horizon.
Yeah, it's
That
cracking
not we're equal.
Yeah.
Not, it's not like when I grew up, you know, men were more powerful, but that's really not true. It was a story. It was a story
that we all
that
believed.
we were playing out at that time.
Yeah.
And now the story is, no, we all are important, and we all are showing different phases of it. It's kind of multi-layered.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're really talking about unity consciousness and oneness consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is like the stage of life that we want to move into. I've been really focusing on that lately, so
Yes.
you're there right with me on that one. I know
Yes.
that's a hard one to
Yeah.
embody all the time, but you're really moving into that, embodying that consciousness.
Yeah, I think, and it's exciting.
Very.
It's very exciting, and just knowing that's so possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is where we're going, and how we'll deal with it. Everyone will deal with it differently. But I'm excited as I connect with that part of me that's leading me. And that's what I think has really helped, that Maureen has really helped us with, of clearing the pathways so we can be who we really are meant to be.
Well, and you just showing up that way, and both of you really, it helps everybody really
Yeah.
be that way or want to be that way, even if they're not aware of it. It's like you can feel the love and you want to just step into that energy, because that energy is really, it's what's good for you is good for all.
Yeah.
It's totally, I think saying that is right, it's like we're embodying this energy, so embodying it will radiate it out to others, and that activates their energy field,
Yes.
so that they wanna do that as well.
I think that's
I
true.
think it is.
And I think there is something about the energy that you give out that starts to break down the story that we
Yes.
were connected to.
Yeah.
And that's exciting too.
It is.
Yeah.
Did you find that sometimes people don't like it initially when you change and you're radiating something different than you used to? Did you find that to be an issue, or did you find it to work well right away?
Well,
I think it depends who you're around. I mean, for me anyway. I mean, my
Yeah.
family, that was easy, right? It was
Great.
totally embraced, and I know that's not always the case
No,
for people.
it's not.
Actually, it's the opposite. It's
Yeah.
like the family's the hard one. For me, it was more other people in this world
Mhm.
that didn't really, I don't want to say get it, but they just had a different way to do it, right?
For
And
sure.
it felt more like a pushback, if you will. So it didn't feel as comfortable. Maybe it was more discomfort.
Well, yeah.
and I think I knew that there would be discomfort, and
Yeah.
so I think I protected myself still from the old story, because that is kind of what we learned to do to protect ourselves, to
Yeah.
survive. That's what we had to do. And so I think for myself, I knew I was supporting inwardly, but sending out kind of messages of accepting people where they're at. And so I right at this moment, I can't think of too much pushback that I got.
Great.
But I was kind of not out there on a soapbox either. Yeah. Yeah.
So Rita, when was the first time, I don't know, your earliest memory of you, I don't know, experiencing something with the energy stuff, right, the spiritual stuff? When was your, I don't know, first time or first memory of having some experience?
Wow,
That's a good question.
that is a good
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
I kind of think it was when Rachel came in
To the world when I was
to the
born.
world.
You can take credit on that.
But when I really think back to it, I think it was showing, it showed up in periodically. Even when I met Gene, you know, and he was my husband, you know, it kind of was, I think, in the energy the two of us created together,
That's
in
so
how we worked together. Yeah.
That's very true.
You know, he wasn't at that time, you know, he was very willing to support me, and I remember sometimes thinking, well, maybe I should do it this way, and he'd say, why? You know, how do you want to do it? You know,
Aw.
so he was always supportive, so I think it was there, but I think it is really through experiencing that all of a sudden, I don't think I put it together as much as in hindsight, looking
Yeah.
back and seeing, oh, that was kind of a pretty spirit working in our lives at that time too, of how we came together and really had a beautiful family. I think, you know, I mean, all of our kids, I'm very pleased with, and they're all supporting who they should be, you know. I just, yeah.
That's huge. Supporting who they are,
Yeah.
rather than what you think they should be.
Right,
exactly.
I didn't have any intentions of how I thought any of them should be. And so, and that might have been something that was good that I got from my lineage too. You know, I'm not really sure. I haven't thought about that question.
Yeah, it's a good one to ponder.
Yeah, something to think about.
Yeah, so I can maybe dig a little deeper inside myself
Yeah.
on my own, or answers might pop up. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you two give on other people moving forward in this type of work? Anything?
That's a good question too. I would just say, I mean, I think the big thing that I'm working on, or what I work with my clients on, is this, what comes up, like the uncomfort, or if you feel something in your body, to really be curious by it, because I do think our body has a lot of information.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think if we can kind of be more attuned to that, and again, like the energy that is around us, and just really kind of just being like with it, right, and pausing with it, not having to figure it out, but just really what is coming from that, and just, it's slow and subtle work, but I think it's really powerful.
I
Really
agree.
powerful.
Yeah, that somatic type of work.
Yeah.
I think that's well said.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that not being so reactive, but just taking that pause and stopping and checking in with my body. Because when I was raised, it was pretty much all up in your head. And but to bring those two parts together is then helpful for me. And I think it's something we all can do. Take that pause. And how do I really feel about this? What's coming up for me? How do I feel about this?
I think the other thing I would add, just because I know this can happen, is like you can sometimes feel alone in this work.
Well,
and
for
that
sure.
There's
Good
people,
point.
there's other people that are doing this work. I mean, there's people like both of you that are supportive, or if you've got a supportive family or a therapist or a friend or whomever, like you're not alone as you do this work, because it is work that you do for yourself, and it is work you do alone, but yet you're not alone. So
I think there's a lot more people involved in this than
Yeah.
ever before. I mean, boy,
I
when you
agree.
started, geez,
Oh,
nobody
was doing it.
You're like,
That's why you didn't talk about it.
I know.
yeah,
You didn't talk about it.
They would think you were, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
well, I remember my aunt would talk about it, and then the neighbors called her the neighborhood witch.
Yeah.
And she, she was just not talking about anything that unusual, like intuition.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Right.
Listen to yourself,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And now it's so common to talk about it. Yeah.
I know, but that's what, it was really not, it was poo-poo. So you're a true pioneer.
Yeah,
She is.
Yes,
It
you
feels-
really are.
Yeah, well, I definitely knew that I had to be careful who I talked to.
Well, you were smart, because
Yeah.
back then you had to kind of be careful, right?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it's interesting listening to you give that experience and viewpoint. So growing up culturally, it was really normal for my parents to talk about that stuff, because back in Vietnam, the energy stuff, the spiritual stuff, it's prevalent, like everybody.
That's so great.
It's just a part of the culture.
Beautiful.
But I did notice I didn't talk about it at school.
Oh, sure.
Outside of my family, I didn't bring that stuff up. It's that same thing. It's like I just knew, like, don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Back then, but then now, I just openly talk about it, and we all feel safer openly talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
Yes.
Let's challenge ourselves.
We talked about that on the way out. There would have been a time I would never did this. It would have. Is the camera rolling?
Yeah,
Well, she's gonna cut that
I'll
out.
cut that out. Yeah.
I'll let you finish.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
wrap up.
Do you want to ask a final question?
Trying to think what else do
You were talking about cultural. That was the last thing you said.
well, I don't know.
Well, perhaps just new. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say,
Final
I
remarks.
love that you were talking about these things in your family, and that's the differences that I see of how different cultures
Absolutely.
approach this so differently. And so thank you for sharing that.
I've noticed that too.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was, and still is normal. People just talk about it like it's, I don't know. It wasn't a taboo thing. It wasn't a, that's weird. It's just like, oh no, everybody knows people do this, you know, type of stuff, good and bad. You know, there's, people would talk about going back home and having people do it, pretty much like spell work for abundance, for love. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, you know. And I mean, I would hear more bad stories, I guess, like people doing things to manipulate energy. And it's like, oh, be careful, you know, if you go back to Vietnam, don't do this and don't do that because this could affect you. Or someone, if a lot of times the story was, if they know you're from America, they'll try to take advantage of you energetically. And, you know, it's kind of a strange thing to talk about, like, out in the open, right? Where it's like, what do you mean, why can't I just walk around and be normal? I'm just traveling to another country. Well, they view you as being wealthy or rich. Then they'll say like, oh, if they bump into you and they just like grab a piece of hair or they grab a piece of something, they could do spell work on you. And that's some stories that would be shared when we were younger. And also just talking about deceased loved ones. That was really normal, like seeing spirits or deceased loved ones, like, oh, like, you know, your great grandfather was here, or after he passed and this happened, even though they passed in Vietnam and we were living in America. And I think as kids we didn't fully understand it, but we're just like, okay,
It's part of your everyday conversation.
Yeah, like,
sounds
you're used to it.
You're used
okay,
to it.
sure.
Okay, that makes
fine.
sense.
Yeah.
Yep, I've noticed that for people in Mexico, that they're pretty much like that. Maybe not quite as open, but they talk a lot about things like this. And same with people that I've met that grew up in Africa or had family in Africa, same thing. Yeah, and even Europe is more open than we are here, the people I've talked to. So I think the U.S. is probably the least open. From the people I've worked with anyway.
So I just love, Rita, that you just had it in you.
I love
And
that.
you talked about it with your family, your kids, and then when you were talking about you and your husband Gene, is that his name? I just felt like that was like it was just meant to be.
I think so.
Meant to be.
Totally.
It was like the combination of our energy created such a wonderful family.
What a blessing.
I
What
know.
a blessing. Yeah.
Yeah, you do have a wonderful family.
Really.
And that's the other thing, I think we've all come in to kind of work through this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, as we've
I think that's
learned
true.
from Maureen, like, we all kind of, I mean, even, you know, my daughter, other, you know,
the
my nieces and
grandkids,
nephews, just really wanting to work on this stuff and really
I think
get
that's
to a place of kind of freedom, really, and deeper love.
because I think what you're bringing up is a good point. It's not stopping with us. You can see it going further.
That's what's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is exciting.
You're changing yourself is changing your family.
That's right.
Mhm.
It does help
That's
your
right.
family.
And anybody else going forward, or even
That's
helping the
right.
ones before you.
Before.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so, that's a reason I wanted you two to come in too, is that you are so inspirational.
Yes, you
really
are.
inspirational. So,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
really. I mean, I think that you're like a testament to what can happen, especially having a mother like Rita, and then your, Gene as your dad, your husband. I mean, really, that's a testament on if you can all be open, what can happen. Or even just one person being open makes a difference. Like if it was just Rita or just you, it would still make a difference. But the whole family really synergizes in a bigger way. So well, gosh, so appreciate you two being willing to come and talk to us.
Thank you
you.
for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, this is
Thank
really
you.
good.
This was
Hopefully we can have you on again.
Love that.
Really fun.